I'm still trying to process what happened yesterday, and I can't shake off the feeling of unease. My husband, the man I've known and loved for 3 years, suddenly turned into a stranger before my eyes. It was as if he had transformed into a psychopath for a split second, leaving me frozen in shock and fear. I keep replaying the moment in my head, wondering if I'm overreacting or if my instincts are trying to tell me something. The memory of his expression, the glint in his eye, it's all still so vivid and terrifying. I need to emphasize that my husband's behavior yesterday was completely out of character. In our 3 years of marriage, he has never once made me feel fearful or intimidated. He's always been kind, gentle, and supportive. The rock I can rely on. But yesterday's incident was a jarring departure from the norm. For the first time ever, I felt genuinely scared of him. And I'm still grappling with the aftermath. I'm left wondering what triggered this sudden change and what it means for our relationship. I'm torn between downplaying the incident and acknowledging the fear that's taken hold of me. I'm at a loss for what to do, and the uncertainty is suffocating me. I'm currently 23 weeks pregnant with our first child, and this significant life change has brought us even closer together, or so I thought. We've been married for 3 years now, and I've always felt grateful for the love and support we share. As a 24-year-old woman, I've always looked up to my husband, who's 8 years my senior, for his guidance and maturity. He's always been a steady presence in my life, and I've trusted him implicitly. But yesterday's incident has shaken me to my core, making me question everything I thought I knew about our relationship. I'm now faced with the daunting prospect of navigating this pregnancy and parenthood with a newfound sense of uncertainty and fear. My husband's profession in law enforcement means he's had extensive training in handling firearms safely and responsibly. He's always been meticulous about storing them in a locked safe at home, and I've never seen him handle them carelessly or recklessly. In fact, he's always emphasized the importance of gun safety and responsible ownership. He's never even joked about using them or pointed one at me or anyone else, even in a playful manner. This is crucial context because it makes what happened yesterday even more shocking and disturbing. His sudden and unexpected behavior with the firearm was a stark departure from his usual habits and training, leaving me stunned and frightened. Yesterday's incident unfolded in a completely ordinary setting, our kitchen. I was walking through, lost in thought, when I noticed my husband standing at the counter, his attention focused on one of the firearms from the safe. My curiosity was piqued, and I slowed down, observing him from a distance. I didn't say a word, wondering what he was doing, but my eyes were fixed on him. Just hours before, we'd had a perfectly normal evening. He'd come home from work. We'd chatted about our day, shared a quiet dinner together, and I'd even taken a relaxing shower. Everything had seemed so peaceful and routine, but in that instant, something felt off. My husband's intense focus on the firearm, his silence, it all seemed so out of place in our tranquil domestic scene. As I continued to watch him, my husband suddenly looked up and our eyes met. He stared at me for what felt like an eternity, just a second, but it was long enough to send a shiver down my spine. Then he blinked and his expression changed in an instant. His face turned stone cold, devoid of any warmth or emotion, and he picked up the gun. My heart skipped a beat as he pointed it directly at my pregnant belly. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My breath caught in my throat. The fact that he didn't flinch, didn't smile, didn't even raise an eyebrow. His complete lack of expression made the moment all the more chilling. It was as if he was in a trance, his eyes fixed on me with an unnerving intensity. My heart plummeted, and I felt like I was in freefall. Without thinking, I reacted instinctively, smacking the gun down, my hand connecting with a loud thud. The sound seemed to break the spell, and my husband's expression transformed in an instant. He burst out laughing, a deep, hearty chuckle, as if he'd just pulled off the most hilarious prank. But I wasn't laughing. I was frozen in terror, my mind reeling from the sheer audacity of what he'd just done. The image of his straight face, the gun pointed at our unborn child, was seared into my brain. I demanded answers, my voice shaking with fear and anger. Why the fuck did you do that? His response only added to my confusion and horror. With a grin still plastered on his face, he asked, "Do you think it scared him?" referring, I assumed, to our baby. The casualness of his tone, the implication that he'd done it as some sort of twisted joke, made my blood run cold. I was rendered speechless, my mind racing to process what had just happened. Tears welled up in my eyes, a mix of fear, shock, and relief that the moment had passed. My husband, still grinning, seemed to finally notice my distress and launched into a half-hour-long apology, trying to placate me with soothing words. He claimed he hadn't been thinking, that it was all just a joke, a momentary lapse of reason, but his words rang hollow. The look in his eyes, that fleeting moment of seriousness, haunted me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, that this wasn't just a careless mistake. The fact that he could so easily switch between humor and horror, between love and menace, left me feeling unsettled and unsure of what to believe. As he continued to try to comfort me, holding me close and whispering apologies, I couldn't help but wonder, what if this wasn't just a joke? What if this was a glimpse into a darker side, one that I'd never seen before? Story 2. I've been a salaryman for a while now, working for a delivery company at one location. It's been a comfortable routine, and I know the ins and outs of the job. But recently, my company announced that we're taking over another contract, which means we'll be handling deliveries for a new client. Sounds good, right? More business for the company, more job security for me. But here's the thing, they want me to cover the new site as well. That means I'll be responsible for managing deliveries at 2 locations, not just one. I'm not sure how I feel about this. On the one hand, I'm happy to take on new challenges and prove myself. On the other hand, I'm worried about how this will affect my workload and stress levels. So, to give you a better idea of what's going on, I work for Final Mile Delivery, which is a company that specializes in, well, the final mile of delivery. We're the ones who make sure packages get from the warehouse to the customer's doorstep. I've been working with one main account. Let's call it Sears, although that's not the actual company, but it's similar. We've had a good relationship with them, and I've gotten used to their way of doing things. But now, we're taking on a new contract with another company, Tempur-Pedic again, not the real name. But it's a similar setup. The thing is, they want our location to provide coverage for their general manager, which means I'll be overseeing deliveries for both Sears and Tempur-Pedic. It's a bit daunting, to be honest, since each company has its own way of doing things, and I'll have to learn a whole new system and set of procedures. When I asked about the details of this new arrangement, my manager told me that they'll make sure I don't have to work more than 5 days a week. That sounds good, right? I mean, who doesn't love a steady 40-hour work week? But here's the kicker. They didn't mention anything about paying me extra for taking on this additional responsibility. I'm not talking about a raise or a promotion, just some extra compensation for the added workload. And that's what's got me wondering, is this even legal? I went back and reread my contract, and I don't remember seeing anything about taking on extra work without extra pay. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems fishy to me. I'm already feeling stretched thin, and the thought of doing more work without more pay is starting to feel like a raw deal. At first glance, it doesn't seem like my actual workload will increase dramatically. I mean, I'm already managing deliveries for one account, so adding another one shouldn't be too much of a stretch, right? But here's the thing, I'll be working at a new location, which means I'll have to learn a whole new layout, new procedures, and new protocols. And on top of that, I'll have to learn the specific rules and requirements for this new account, Tempur-Pedic. Every company has its own way of doing things, and I'll have to get up to speed quickly. That's what's worrying me, the learning curve. I'll have to invest time and energy into learning the ins and outs of this new account, and that's time and energy I don't really have to spare. I'm already feeling pretty maxed out, and the thought of starting from scratch at a new location is daunting. I guess what I'm really trying to figure out is whether I have a legitimate reason to be upset about this situation. Am I just being paranoid? Or do I actually have a leg to stand on? I'm hoping someone out there can offer some advice or insight. Have any of you been in a similar situation? Did you get extra pay for taking on extra work? Did you have to learn new procedures and protocols without any additional support? I just want to know if I'm being unreasonable or if I should be pushing back on this. Thanks in advance for any advice or words of wisdom. I really appreciate it.